What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about some anime tropes that we absolutely despise. My name is Scott.
Crystal.
I'm Chuku.
I'm OC.
And I'm going to go ahead and start this thing off. So recently I've been watching an anime called Black Clover. I don't know if you guys... Well, I know you two haven't watched it. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't watched
No.
it.
Christine has, but she's not here.
Yeah, we can't complain together.
Yeah, I know Christine loves Black Clover, and I actually really like this anime too. But there's a trope in it that I just noticed recently that I really don't like, and I noticed it in other animes before, but I couldn't like pinpoint exactly what it was. But it is sort of like this, like the side characters or every supporting character, like talking so highly about the main character to the point where it's like it gets exhausting. It's like they keep saying how great they are, or they keep being like, oh my gosh, this person is the most amazing person in the world, blah blah blah, like they're so great, they can do anything, they have changed my life in so many ways, and it's like over and over and over again. Like I'm fine with it happening like once in a very pivotal moment, but like it just happens way too much in Black Clover, I feel.
Interesting.
Oh.
What are some other like animes that you can think have that trope?
I would say Dragon Ball Z a
I was
lot.
thinking that's exactly where that's where my head went. Was
Yeah.
too.
Really? Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, I mean,
For Goku?
I guess maybe like, I guess not exactly in terms of like saying this character is great, but sometimes they'll be like, oh my god, his power levels, blah blah blah, blah blah, like the way they'll say it, and it's like sometimes I feel like they say it because it's one of those things where it's like they have to admit, like they have to tell how this person's more stronger, or this person is more whatever, but it gets repetitive where it's like I can't see what's happening, and I'm like, you said that like 3 arcs ago, like what's new? You know what I'm saying?
What's new? Oh, that's so funny. I think Dragon Ball does it to an acceptable level. I think Dragon Ball's fine.
I think you're biased.
I might be
Well,
biased.
none of us have seen Black Clover.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
that
we
one's
can't judge.
really
Yeah.
bad.
That's true, but I admit when I'm biased about Dragon Ball Z. I'll say that.
There's this anime, it has like a ridiculous name. Like something about getting so much defense that they can't get hurt anymore. Like I put all my stats into defense or something like that.
That's the name of the anime.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous name.
Interesting.
I'll look it up later, but it has that same thing where everyone says how crazy, cool, and like amazing the main character is, like every episode,
Oh, dang.
like every like 5 minutes.
So they're all hype, man. That's crazy.
Exactly. They're like the supporting characters are literally there just to be hype men. so we think the main character is so amazing. I feel like Naruto does it a little bit, but like it's still acceptable. I might be biased again.
Okay, but I feel like with
even only
Naruto,
do that after he's earned it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. They
Beginning,
would, and
he's
you
like, this guy's trash.
Yeah, no, they like hate him
exactly,
at the beginning.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think with Naruto it works because the whole point is that for a while everyone hated him, or he didn't feel out of place. So it's
Yeah.
actually a good
Well,
acknowledgement.
for Black Clover, the main character's name is Asta, and he also goes from a more underdog story too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is his friend La Vista?
What?
Asta?
No, Asta.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I
But
think
the anime itself is good. It's just
Okay.
they do it way too much to the
Okay.
point where I get really annoyed by it. It's just a trope that I don't like.
What would make it better if they like pointed out some of his faults, or like if they just stopped doing it altogether?
Yeah, I think if the character has done it before, you know, and the moment was earned, that's good.
Yeah.
But when they do it every single episode, it gets, like I said, exhausting.
When do they do it? Like when he first shows up and they just see his face and they're like, oh, it's that guy. It's Asta.
Yeah.
Haven't you heard that he's the most powerful of all? I can't believe I'm in his presence.
Yeah. It's also that effect where, like, the main character is liked by a lot of the people. I mean, at first they don't like him, and then, like, literally an episode later, they love him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was it like kind of too abrupt to switch?
A little bit, but also... But it also plays to the same effect of the main character just being overly loved or overly, like everyone just thinks he's the most amazing person in the world after like very little interaction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he saved my donut, therefore he's the best character in the world.
Well, he does some cool stuff for sure, but and some of it is definitely earned, but it's like just stop repeating it. You know, that's the issue.
I think one problem with anime, and I guess you can say this is kind of a thing with a lot of anime, is that there's a lot of, the whole showing but not telling. So there's a lot of like telling a lot in anime where they always just talk about things happening, or they always explain a lot. So I think this kind of goes with that, where if they explain less and they showed more, it'd make more sense.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And the thing is, it's not like he's the only person that's doing like crazy cool stuff. It's like there's so many other people like that were involved in these big events that could also be worshipped or like praised as much as him, but they aren't,
Dang.
or at least we don't see that.
So do you guys watch One Punch Man? Do they touch on that? Do they touch on that at all? Because there are characters in that show that are like really like awesome, but then like because he's One Punch Man, like that's like all the focus
for One Punch Man. Saitama, like Genos is just his biggest fan, like
Yeah.
we get most of it from Genos.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends on, because Saitama's like very low key for some reason. For some odd reason, just nobody knows how strong he is until later on. Obviously, like eventually people are gonna start seeing it more the more he is into the hero activity.
Okay.
But
I want to check out Black Clover. I want to see what you're talking about.
it's a good anime overall. It definitely has some pacing issues, but it's a good anime.
Yeah.
Isn't Megan Thee Stallion into Black Clover?
She's into a lot of anime.
She's into
Yeah.
Yeah. She dressed up as what's his name from My Hero.
She's a Todoroki,
Todoroki. Yeah.
but she also dressed up as the bunny hero or the rabbit.
Oh, okay.
So what are your guys's?
So mine's, I call it the whole will versus logic, where, for example, and it usually happens with a villain, where a villain says something that logically you can't beat my power level, or there's some sort of thing that's like you're unable to do it, and instead of having like a strategy to defeat that, they just have stronger will, where it's like, how are you supposed, you hear the Nani, how is this supposed to happen? And he's like, you don't understand, blah 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 blah. And I get it, they're trying to send the message that having these virtues are always going to overcome some sort of, I don't know.
I feel like that's Black Clover as well.
I get that the lesson is that if you have strong virtues and all that, you can overcome adversity.
Kind of like a mind over matter, but like
something
extreme.
like that. But yet sometimes it's just too over. Like there's no way you just, because of XYZ, you're able to do this. Like this, the rule said this, and all of a sudden you're able to just break the rules, and it's just
but I feel like most animes have at least a reasoning behind it, right? Like Naruto has the nine-tailed fox. That's how he's usually able to get out of tough situations.
But Naruto also has plot armor, so that's the reason why he's able to get through most situations. Same with Sasuke.
You have a point. I second that trope because you see it like in a lot of different anime too. Like a lot of it is like you said, like will over logic. Like it's just like a lot of like will, but like I guess it's made worse if like there's no like training or learning like leading up to like overcoming the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see like an example of that, where like maybe it's not earned when it's just pure will and no like they haven't?
I think for me, there's moments where I guess it's kind of like lazy writing. So it's like there's moments, for example, like in Dragon Ball, like I can remember an example in Dragon Ball GT where like the Indian Dragon Ball GT where he defeats the final boss, where I mean you can make an argument in that the logic is that Goku was able to get everyone to use the spirit bomb, but it's the reason why I say it's kind of will over logic is just that in Dragon Ball Z, just to get everyone on Earth to give energy to spirit bomb, it took like a lot of, they had to get Mr. Satan, who was one person, to get everyone convinced. But for whatever reason, the whole universe just decides, you know what? We're just going to let this guy, we're going to give all this energy to this guy to defeat this giant bomb. And my thing with that, that's where I come to the point where it's like, because he had the strong will, he just believed in himself and everything, that he just was able to, overcome this thing where it's like, you cannot overcome this standard, but I'm going to overcome this standard because I believe in myself, which I love the sentiment, but it's just like, sometimes it just feels like it's just plot armor, or it's just seems like lazy writing. I think that's my issue.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of reasoning to how they're able to overcome it.
Exactly.
Like a different strategy, a different method.
Yeah.
Like some unlocked power, some like item, some combination of skills.
Yeah.
Just
or
something.
just make it more of like a struggle in general, just to like make it feel more earned.
Yeah, for me, it's just the reason. Like,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's just like having a strategy or something where it's like maybe we thought, like maybe the character may have thought, he wasn't capable, but then you realize, wait a minute, I see a flaw in this thing, and I could just overcome the flaw. So it's just that kind of logic. It's just, I think, yeah, as long as there's a good reasoning besides it being like, oh, because he just believes in himself.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, I'm just gonna keep trying, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing.
Exactly, same thing over. It's always that trope. It's like you keep on doing the same thing over. Why? Oh, it's because I believe in my friends. You will understand later. And then all suddenly, what? Nani, all that. It's always that same thing. And I'm just like,
Yeah. I feel that a lot in Black Clover.
I feel like they're onto something. You can wear someone down that way, right? And I mean, if you guys are annoyed,
I think it
then,
depends on which examples we're talking about. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of specific examples where a hero had a victory that wasn't really earned because they just kept doing the same thing. And maybe it's just because I haven't seen the same things, or maybe I'm like forgetting details about certain fights, but I can't really come up with anything in my head.
Yeah, I think it happens, or at least in Black Clover, it happens a lot more when, like with the side characters, they do the same thing. They're usually able to unlock some sort of power though.
yeah.
So it does make some logical sense, but they also usually end up losing if they're just able to like hurt the enemy a bit more though than they should have been able to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not quite a victory, but it still happens.
I think for me, what comes in my head is Dragon Ball, especially the tournament power for Dragon Ball Super, where it's like, on one hand, I understand that the whole, the argument you can make is that the Saiyans always get stronger by each battle they go. But however, if the context is they're in a 40-minute, like it's 40 minutes that they're fighting, Goku unlocks this new ability. He should be weaker, but all suddenly, him in his weaker state, he's able to fight Jiren, who's this overpowered thing. It's like the logic just makes no sense at some point, and it's just again, because he just at one moment he believed in himself, and then he can unlock everything. It's just that's where it becomes like, bruh, don't do this to me. Let's be consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a trope definitely that's a little overplayed sometimes.
Yeah, but didn't you say you had one Pacific?
Oh yeah, well, so initially I was like there's there's the obligatory pervy character that has like some pervy like random side thing that just distracts from the story. But I mean, everybody hates that. The one that I thought about while you guys were talking is I'm watching through One Piece right now.
Okay.
I am in the Thriller Bark arc, and there's so many. I noticed like while I was watching the last episode that I was watching, there's so much dead time in some of these shows where they spent like 2 minutes just like focusing in on the different characters' reactions to something that was going on, and it's like we really don't like this can be cut down. Like I appreciate One Piece.
That's the best part of anime. It's the supporting characters talking about the fight.
I can appreciate One Piece, but there was no fight happening. It was just they were watching something going down, and they weren't doing anything about it. They were just watching this, and they're like, how terrible. And I'm like, you guys are not and we've been here for 5 minutes. It's like,
how terrible.
What is happening?
What are we gonna do?
Yeah, and so I'm like, I kind of like stepped out of like my mind for a minute. I was like, wait a minute, we've been here for a long time and nothing is happening. And I like One Piece. I like the story, and I don't know if this is something that is gonna change.
I think
coming down
for One Piece in particular, it might just be anime only. that has that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure the manga's pacing. I know the manga's pacing is better.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Is it like maybe to build suspense? I know what you're talking about when they're just like stock still and everyone's like sweating and they're like, this guy's so strong.
Exactly.
What are we gonna?
Exactly. Yeah, it's to build suspense, but there is a point of diminishing return where it's like, why hasn't anything happened?
Everyone's just
I don't
standing
even
around.
know if it's to build suspense, to be honest. I think it might just be like, we need more
we need
runtime.
frames
Yeah,
of
we need more
runtime.
runtime.
I was low-key like tempted to fast forward. And it's like, it feels weird to like, because I already fast forward the first 5 minutes because that's just like recapping the last episode, and then it just feels weird to fast forward in the middle of the episode.
You kind of need to for One Piece sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when they do flashbacks. But I'm thinking that the same issue might be for Black Clover, like where the manga doesn't have that issue of the trope I mentioned, but the anime does because they need to fill it with time.
Yeah, that could be
So
it.
they fill it with time of them talking about how great the main character is.
Yeah.
Or like how powerful the adversary is. Like I can't. This person's power like puts them in a position where if I do this, I can't do that, and if I do this, I can't do that. I'm screwed either way. And then it's like and then they like draw it out.
Yeah. Actually, to piggyback on the perverted thing, because sometimes it can be distracting. One thing that came into my mind was literally Chainsaw Man, because like literally one of his motivations is that
Have we all watched Chainsaw Man?
Not yet.
It's a you can say
I mean, it's a
it. I don't
motivation.
care.
It's not like I'm
it's
giving you
okay.
a plot detail.
It's okay.
It's one of his own motivations is that he's gonna get some titties if he continues to be with these
He's
girls.
going to have them.
Well, no, he's not gonna have them, but he's gonna like he's gonna
grow
finally
them?
get to grow up some tits, basically. And
That's his motivation.
partially,
For the whole series.
and see, here's my thing with it. If my problem with it is besides, I mean, it's a joke, right? My problem with it is that Chainsaw Man is it's not very a comedic show. It's a more like, it has comedic moments, but it's more on that serious end, right?
Doesn't he have chainsaws on his hands?
Yeah.
I know
No, it's not 24/7. It's not 24/7. It's not like it's 24/7.
it's dark even.
It's a more dark. So I
Yeah.
feel like it just feels out of place. That's the problem with it. Like if it was a more comedic show, I would be like, okay, that could be fine. But it's like, it just feels so out of place.
It's in every anime. I mean, I'm watching Hunter x Hunter right now, and then there's like that one test where they're like trying to break free from that like prison, and they have to like, you haven't seen it, you don't
Really?
But no, it's just funny because like they have to like make bets of like I don't know, one thing was like, oh, like you have to guess if like I'm a girl or a guy, and if you guess like, do you remember like if you guess this, then like you have the opportunity to like check if I'm lying or not. It's like so much was on the line, and then the character like obviously made the choice to like grope her and stuff, and it's like, dude, what? Like, I don't know, but that's like in every anime. So,
I mean,
and that's annoying. No, for sure, it's annoying.
I don't think it
animes
should
that
be
don't do
normalized.
that.
No, I know.
don't think
That's
it
what
should
I'm
be
saying.
Normalized either. I think it's just
Well, that, and I
also
think
makes-
there's animes that don't do that. Like Mob has never did that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's annoying because
Death Note didn't do it.
it makes the characters unlikable. Because like I liked that character, and I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah.
I hate this.
But there's
Who
also
did it
the
again? I'm trying to remember. Was it Leorio? Or?
Yeah, it was Leorio.
Oh, okay,
Leorio when the
Yeah.
stakes were pretty high too. Like
Damn
they
it,
were,
Leorio.
they only had like they only had like a limited amount of time to like get out of this jail, and then he's like betting time, and like they had to like wait for like 3 days in a room so that time would run down before
Yeah,
like
yeah, I
this
remember.
challenge. I was like, you suck. And like every time, and that's a character too where it's like, that character has a lot of faults compared to like everyone else, and like just when you're beginning to like him, he just does some like dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And that one was especially like why would you do this?
Well, the thing about Chainsaw Man, to clarify, it's not his entire motivation throughout all of the series so far. I think it's on episode 9 at this point.
Okay.
I think.
I'm watching dubs. So I think dubs like episode 5.
It's not just the cities.
Yeah, but it's all sexual things that he wants.
Okay.
That's it. His entire motivation is mainly that. It's not just
Yeah.
but it is all sexual things.
Yeah.
So
Does
it's
that-
like, it's so weak in my opinion.
Yeah.
That I cannot take this show seriously.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I guess for me again, I always like to emphasize if the show is more comedic, I'd totally be fine with it. But for a show to be this serious, it's like it just feels out of place. It feels like what the hell?
No, it's definitely like gross. And then it shouldn't be normalized. It sucks when it's like that's a character's whole motivation, but it's also really jarring if it's like a character that only like, does it every so often, and then it's just like, oh man, like I trusted you, I was rooting for you, why are you doing this?
Well, people seem to love this this manga, so like it must get better somehow.
Or they just
There
forget
was a lot
that.
of noise about the anime or the manga when it was like announced it was going to be an
but
anime.
right now, in my opinion, it kind of like it's super mid. It's like
Interesting.
the first episode was great, but then everything past that was like, I don't care about any of this.
Yeah.
Like none of this is interesting.
I'm curious, what do you guys think about? So there are specific characters that everyone loves, like Jiraiya,
Yeah.
and he is that like pervy character. But how do you guys feel about it with a character like him?
Like that wise old person who's also a pervert.
Yeah,
Master Roshi.
Yeah, Master Roshi.
Master Roshi is another one.
Well, if you do it first and you do it best, then
Yeah.
then everyone should
But-
No,
understand.
I think it's the redeeming qualities, right? That's his
Yeah.
flaw, but
But he has other aspects about his character that make him.
make him cool. That make
Yeah.
him like he helped Naruto, he
Yeah,
helped
exactly.
Nagato and all the other children, and he's just done
What
cool, good things,
But what I also get with those kinds of characters is kind of like the times, because they kind of show how like what was like in there, because it's kind of making fun of how like back in the older days people thought this was cool, and then nowadays it's like what the hell. So it's kind of a like, oh, he's kind of untouched with the generation kind of a thing.
I can understand that it's kind of like a look down upon trait. Maybe it's because it doesn't happen at like weird times with Jiraiya. Because whenever Jiraiya's perviness is shown, it's usually when there's like they're chilling.
Yeah,
Just very low
like that.
stakes.
Yeah,
exactly.
but if he's in the middle of a fight, like I think, with One Piece, the thing that annoyed me was I think Brooke was like, "Can I get your panties?" Like in the middle of like a serious situation.
That's true, but
and so I was like, "Why is this happening right now?"
I will to the defense of One Piece. One Piece is a more comedic show. So
It is.
it's
I know,
it's
there's
part of
multiple
but it's
characters
still
like
like-
that.
It's still like in the context that it was happening. It's like this
Yeah.
is just a distraction from
yeah,
what is going on.
yeah,
right now.
I get you.
So-
And
It's
then
a power play,
and there's
but a
also
gross one.
and there's also like the opposite effect where it's like there's also that trope where a character, a quote unquote innocent character, happens to be in a perverted situation and then they get in trouble for it, kind of a thing. Where it's like I see that a lot in anime where a guy runs, accidentally hits a girl's breast, and the girl's like, "You pervert!" Blah blah
yeah.
blah. And he's like, "Dude, you literally, he just happened to walk. They just happened to meet. It wasn't like he was trying to get a cup."
That did
scoop."
happen with Naruto a lot.
So it's like
That
it's
happened
like
like in the first episode.
yeah. So it's like there's also that trope where it's like, I mean, I understand, but it's like, could you take common sense to see something accidentally happened you didn't try to do or whatever?
I don't know.
also
It
that
could
whole-
be like a cultural thing. I don't know
It
because
is.
like
I'm sure it
things
is.
are so buttoned up in like Japan, but I
Yeah.
feel like the media can kind like really likes to like play with that stuff to like be
Yeah.
edgy.
Yeah, I'm sure that like cultural context plays a role.
Yeah.
So for us, it just comes off as a distraction, and it's weird.
I like didn't Hayao Miyazaki say anime was a mistake?
What?
Yeah, you said that.
Anime was a mistake because
I
he was
mean-
talking about perverts
Well, his whole thing
and like lolicon stuff.
to go further, his whole thing was that a lot of the anime is not there's too many like repetitive things. Like there's too many like people doing certain
Sure.
animations.
He was
which
like
are-
talking about it was
That
like
was the whole
a bigger
thing.
it was like a bigger thing.
Yeah,
but it's
but-
just funny. That's a funny quote.
Yeah, that's the funny quote.
Anime was a
I think
mistake.
that's a funny quote for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's the nature of like successful things. Is like when some art is successful, like I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people that emulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess his whole argument is that he wanted people to be more creative with it. You know, not do the same over shots. Like he would be like, "Oh, that Gundam thing. Like everyone's doing that whole Gundam thing when they fly up and then they do this little weird animation and all that." It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Be creative with it. I think that's his argument was.
For sure.
But yeah, I think that's about it. With
Yeah.
Tropes.
I'm sure there's a ton more out there
Yeah.
that we'll keep watching and we'll bring them up.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make this a series. Like here's another thing about anime.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, Crystal, I feel like you brought one up that was pretty good, which was like the villain well, to expand on it, the villain, them trying to beat the villain when they're super strong, but like,
and then listing out the stats and like everything that they're stacked up against them.
Yeah, they definitely do that, but I think more so like somehow the villain over the battle gets weaker. Either that or somehow the main character just gets so much stronger during that fight. It's just so weird. It's like the villain should not be that weak to be able to.
Yeah.
Like at first when they move, they're so fast that the main character can't detect it. But then like throughout the battle, somehow that goes away. It's weird.
It fits back to my will versus logic, where logically speaking, this villain has everything upper hand, but then for whatever reason, what? You said that one thing about friendship? Oh my God. And he starts cringing, and his cringiness starts weakening him, and then he overcomes it. I don't know.
No, yeah, you're right. It's like there's a lot of situations where it's like not clear, or it's clear that the like villain is powerful, but at certain times like they choose to not be as powerful. No, really, like it certainly feels that way, where it's like, wait, like how did they get the drop on you this time when like you said a couple like minutes ago, like you were moving so fast like no one could see you. Like it's that thing of like, oh, you killed someone like in a flash, but then like somehow the main character got the drop on you in this instance. Like how?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're going to enjoy Hunter x Hunter because at least the power levels are way balanced.
I was thinking about Hunter x Hunter just now, though.
Really?
Because, yeah, I don't know. But if you say so, you know.
Yeah. Because
what's the example you were thinking of?
Who's the clown guy? What's his name? Hisoka. Yeah.
I was going to say, is it with Hisoka?
Yeah, it's with Hisoka. It's like when Gon first gets the drop on him, when he has like that bloodthirst in him.
Yeah.
I still think like he shouldn't have touched him, like even in that instance, but I don't know. It was kind of earned because I know Gon was like practicing like catching like the birds and everything like that. But still, he's just so OP. You can tell from the beginning of the episodes. I'm just like, how did Gon even? But then but you're right. It was kind of even because Hisoka like punched him in the face and like knocked him out, and I was like, okay, there's that.
Where are you at the anime right now?
I mean, they're still doing the test. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay,
yeah, I think once you get past a certain part, that scene will make more sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, definitely.
Because they go and like remembers something about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like Hunter x Hunter a lot right now.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter is one of my favorite animes.
I still think Yu Hawk show's better, but hey.
Wait, what?
It's the
Are
same.
they comparable?
The same creator. That's why I was bringing it up.
I was like, they're apples to oranges.
No,
dude.
same creator, and they
No,
even
but
have.
I mean like the story.
But they even have cameos from characters from it. So
They have cameo characters from.
yeah, they like one
Yu
character.
Hakusho?
Like they have like one of the toys is literally the Yu's spirit animal or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And then another thing, they have a
Sick.
character
Like
based,
Easter eggs.
and then they actually Easter eggs, and then they
Okay.
actually have a guy literally based off Kuwabara, like literally.
Kubara.
Kuwabara.
Okay.
So
Meshi.
Yeah.
I won't spoil when he comes in, but it's gonna be interesting when you see
Yeah,
that
despite
I'll recognize him right away.
despite these tropes, like all these animes that we're talking about, like we love them.
Yes.
That's why we watch them.
guy.
You know?
Exactly.
Except for that one, I put all my stats into defense anime. That anime kind of sucked. Anyways, yeah, that's our, or at least that was my complaining session.
Yes.
It was good to just get it out.
To air it all
Yes,
out. I'm
vent
sure.
it out.
I think it really will be a series. We'll probably come
Yes,
up with
I
more
like
things
that,
that
sure.
frustrate us.
Yeah.
We'll call it like things that frustrate us in anime.
Exactly.
Yeah, but let us know what your least favorite anime tropes are in the comments down below.
And maybe we'll cover it in the next part of the series.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Catch you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.